Welcome, welcome everyone. I am going to make bread. Charlie said, Kim, the bread is gone. And so we're gonna get out the KitchenAid. He purchased this for me. It goes with my KitchenAid, and it is the scale and the sifter. So what it does is it will actually sift your flour. So any recipe you have that says you gotta sift it. So here's the KitchenAid on the front, right? You have this part here, and this just fits in there. I do bread once a week. I usually do it on Sundays because that is my day. There's 3 parts to it. It is the actual sifter part. It has a nice little guide. It goes with the top. I saw someone talking about her top when she was moving, and she says, I never even use this, and I wouldn't do without it because I make a mess all over. So most of the time I don't use the top on it. I will put it on after, but you just measure. I always do ounces for my bread because I know these by heart. So let's just get started. I use bread flour because it has a higher yield of gluten in it. So this, I know this recipe by heart. This one's going to take 13.65 ounces. You can measure it out by cups. When I do it in ounces and measure it this way, or in grams, whichever the recipe calls for, it always comes out so much better. Remember the first time I tried making macarons, and I could not make those. I couldn't figure out what it was, and it came down to sifting the flour. Literally needed to sift the flour. Once I sifted the flour a couple times, then they came out beautifully. All right, so I am going to go get some measuring cups. I should have did that before. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to measure out my yeast first. The yeast is almost gone, so that bottle is out of there. I buy this in a very large bottle. So instant yeast versus active yeast makes a big difference when it comes to breads or any kind of rising product. So make sure you're using the right one. Instant yeast will make this rise fuller and faster. And in my old house, it takes a little while to get. I buy this off from Amazon in a very large container because I will go through that in probably 2.5 months. And these little guys right here, 2 of these is what I pay for 1 of that. These are 4 ounces, and that is, I believe, a pound, maybe 2 pounds. This one Charlie bought for some reason. I found it in the cupboard. So that, and salt. So I put the yeast in first. Now I'll just put the lid on this so it doesn't go poof, and I usually turn my thing off, and then we're gonna just start it. There's a lever on the side that you turn, and you can see it. When it goes down, it kind of poofs all up. So I always put the lid on there, and it's actually sifting it while it's doing it. My husband, when he bought this, I was like, oh my gosh, just another thing I have to store. And voila. Now it's sifted. So I usually take this out after I get done with it, just so that when I go to pour in my liquid, I don't have to deal with it. And I'll take this and I'll rinse it all out. But you can see inside, there's a little guide that goes back and forth, and it pushes it through. And when my niece is here, she loves to cook. Okay, and so I have her sitting there doing this. It takes a long time and it makes a mess. This just works so much better. Okay, so I know this by heart because I make this all the time. Now that I put the flour and the yeast is underneath, you don't want to put them in on top of each other because they will react against each other. So I'm gonna put 1.5 of the salt. Now, this is kosher salt. I do have a different salt that I use, but when I make bread, I always use Morton's kosher salt. For whatever reason, that's just what I do. So, these 2 are mixed up. You can hear the microwave going. I'm gonna go check the milk, and I will be right back. So you may wonder why I'm so dressed up. Many of you may or may not know, this is my beauty channel as well. The lifestyle, I love to bake. As you can tell, I am churning over a leaf. I'm finally back to working out. I looked at myself in the mirror the other day. Actually, it was a picture, and I was like, Kim, how did you do this? So I'm just churning over a leaf, and I'm going to drop these 60 pounds that I put on. Once I get past the 60 pounds, I don't care about the rest. I love to wear fitted shirts. I have this nice fitted shirt. It has really pretty clear sleeves. I love to feel pretty. I was one girl of 4 brothers, and we lived in the country between the cows and the pigs. And you know, I don't think that that has to define who you are. I never wore makeup up until 15 years ago. Did I ever wear makeup? The only thing I did at that time was mascara and Vaseline on my lips. Since I became a beauty influencer, I started learning. And so today I'm doing 2 things. I'm making bread. I'm gonna make sourdough bread here when I'm done with this, because that takes, you know, a 24-hour period, and then I'm going downstairs and I'm making more videos. So if you haven't seen my beauty videos, I would love you to subscribe here, hit that notification bell, and check it out and just see. You can always unsubscribe. Did I really say that? Oh, I did. But just subscribe and see. You know, this is a little group of things. You know, we have our garden. I did a lot of garden this year. I love the fact that when I go to my pantries, I can take off my own tomato sauce or tomato paste. I just finished tomato paste. I actually have a whole bunch of tomatoes there that just came out of our high tunnel. I still have Genovese tomatoes growing. It is November 14th here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It snowed over the weekend, so it's getting really cold, but I went in there and I picked 5 more Genovese tomatoes. Now, my husband loves those because his tomato sauce, they are the sweetest tomato ever. They're so different. They're kind of on aroma, but they're even sweeter than aroma. If you've ever had like the big burpee boys, or I think they're called big girls or something like that, they're sort of like that, but they have such a fabulous flavor to them. There is a can. It's a San Marzano tomato. There's a sauce. I think it's made by Cento, C-E-N-T-O. It's an Italian brand. My husband will buy that. They're like $4 a can. It's a large can, you know, it's like one of the big large cans. I think it's a 28 ouncer maybe, but he will buy those because he loves the flavor of them, right? He doesn't like really acidic. When I first met him, he was a chef. So 1998 was when he quit working in restaurants. Now he will cook if he gets tired of the way I cook stuff, because I don't cook with a lot of fat. I don't cook with a lot of gravies. I really don't like gravy on my mashed potatoes. I never make mashed potatoes because I don't want to do all that effort. I would just rather have a salad instead of a potato. But anyway, so I'm kind of getting off on the thing. So I love being able to go to my pantry and pull off food that I know we've grown and that I've processed. And we just made chili the other day, and when I was making it, I was like, he always makes so much chili, and personally, chili is not my favorite thing. I will eat it, I like it, I will always have a bowl, but I won't keep eating it, right? And he makes enough for like 7 people, and there's just 2 of us. So I actually took and canned 2 quarts when we got done having it for lunch and dinner on Saturday. And then I went ahead and made beans. I have this fabulous bean dip dish that I make with a bunch of different kinds of beans, and I put a lot in. So I actually canned those in pints, and he will have red beans and rice. He loves red beans and rice. So back to what I'm doing. So I've got the liquid. This is just 2 tablespoons of butter with 3/4 cup of milk, and I use whole milk. We don't use the skim stuff. I use whole milk. And then honey. Takes 2 tablespoons of honey, and then 1/3 of a cup of water. So I'm gonna put this in, and we're gonna just pour this in there. I keep stirring it, otherwise it'll kind of get stuck on the side. I'm gonna make him some cookies. Actually, they're cupcakes, but they're like a ho-ho cupcake. So we're gonna see how that comes out. Charlie loves chocolate. I love peanut butter, pecans, oatmeal. Those are my favorite kinds of anything, whether it's cake, pies. I am totally opposite. I love pecan pie and I love pumpkin pie. He absolutely will not eat pumpkin pie. So I'm gonna make a pumpkin cheesecake. I just saw someone with the recipe. I saw that on YouTube and I'm like, ooh. And I said something to him and he says, I'll eat that. So here we go. Let's stir it up. This will take a little bit to get it going, and then after about 2 minutes, I put a timer on for 8, and I let it knead it on medium, which is actually number 6 on mine. Now this is the commercial, this is the bigger one, only because the little ones, I just break them so fast, making bread all the time, and I have a whole wheat recipe that makes 2 loaves, and I've tried to cut it down evenly, and it never comes out good, so I just make 2 loaves and I give 1 away. Okay, so we're gonna turn it up and we're gonna let it go for 8 minutes. And we'll be back, my friends. So, they're done. It's done its thing. I've already got my bowl, and I'm just going to take this out. So it's nice and pliable, very, very, very smooth. And I just always kind of put it in a nice little ball, put it in here. Now it will rise all the way to the top of this bowl, and it should probably take like an hour and a half, but in my house right now, the temperature is only 70 degrees. Our kitchen does not have any kind of heating outlet, so it doesn't have any kind of vent. So the heat comes from the living room or the dining room, and we're not near the dining room. So I like to use the Crisco brand only because it does not wreck non-stick. It doesn't have all of the bad ingredients. Crisco is really, really good. I find this only at Walmart, and 90% of the time I have to order it online because they won't have them in the store. If I buy them in a 3-pack, I get a huge discount. So I know there's a lot of other brands out there, but for some reason the Crisco brand for us seems to be really good. So I'm just gonna take that now. In my old house, I put it right here. Now I have to use my sourdough in a minute here. I'm gonna have to take my starter off. That's my little starter here. It's a little Ziggy, and I'm gonna take that, but I'm gonna take this. Alexa, set a bread timer for an hour, 30 minutes.
Bread timer, 1 hour and 30 minutes.
So there we go. That is our regular, everyday sandwich bread. Now I'm gonna make our sourdough. So I'm gonna get the sourdough starter. Okay, so I love this book, Sourdough Every Day. I use this book for all my sourdough recipes. I haven't found any so far that I need to not use. And when you start your sourdough starter, you know, you end up getting a lot. So I'm just going to get out my little stir. You can see I don't have a lot of counter space. Our counter space is just interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen when I can move to a house that has, you know, like a real kitchen. In fact, I probably don't even care how big the bedroom is if I could just have a big kitchen so everything could be all in one place and not have to go from one section to the other. All right, so the first thing we gotta do is we gotta measure out sourdough starter, which is 23 grams, okay? So I just wanna stir a little Ziggy. I'm gonna turn this on, make sure it's on grams. It usually is. I'm always cleaning everything. I can't stand having stuff sitting there. I'm gonna get out my scoop because 23 grams isn't really that much. There we go. We will feed him later. The other day I didn't put my third clip on and it just like, it was bubbling outside. Charlie's like, Kim, is this supposed to be bubbling out the side? I'm like, no. So I realized that I hadn't put it on, or I put it on, but maybe I didn't put it on tight, and so it popped back off. So 23 grams of that. Now we're gonna get some water. So let's just put it back to 0. 45 grams of water. Basically a quarter of a cup, I believe. And then we're going to use 45 grams of bread flour, which is about a half a cup of bread flour. This one I usually overdo, the worst part of it. Oops, one more, there we go. All right, so that we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna stir it a little bit and we're gonna cover it. The container I have it in is gonna be in a little plastic container, and we are going to just leave that right here to get warm, and it's gonna get activated. It takes usually, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. Like I said, I always leave this light on. I put everything underneath it, which kind of helps with the heat part of it. So what's your favorite thing when it comes to like kitchen? What is it that you like? How did you come across my channel? I would love to hear how you came across my channel. And if you've subscribed, because just watching my channel, there's so many advantages to that. There we go. So we're gonna leave that there, right? 2 of them together. Oops. Nope, better not do that. He's gonna hang out. All right, we're gonna let him hang out here. Alexa, set a Ziggy starter for 4 hours.
Second timer, 4 hours, starting now.
So in about 3 hours, I'll come back up and I'll mix the dough part of it together. And then by then we'll see how this looks. So right now, that's all, my friend. I will be back. So it's time to put the bread in the pan. I found steel works better than glass. Just churn it out. I always churn it out onto a piece of parchment paper. I just find that that's so much easier. My hands are washed and clean, and I'm just gonna spread it out. Now I make it into a long rectangle. I'm getting rid of all the air pockets that are in here, and then I just start rolling it. This is when you find out you got a lot of air bubbles in it, because those are gonna make holes in your bread. I don't mind it, but Charlie doesn't like to get holes in his bread. Tuck everything, roll it really nice, pinch it, and literally that is all I do to it. So now, put it in the pan nice and straight, and I get the plastic that I used over the bowl, and I cover it up, and we do it for another, probably 30 minutes. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Right now it's rising fast, so. Alexa, set a new bread timer for 40 minutes.
Bread timer, 40 minutes, starting now.
And I'm just gonna take this and throw it away. The easiest thing to clean stuff up. It does say to put a little bit of flour on there. I find that when I put flour, I don't get as good of a tight of a roll. So we're just gonna let it sit over there, and for probably, well, 40-45 minutes, the timer will go off and we'll see. We'll be back. So there we go. Yeah, there it is, all done. 350 degrees for 37 minutes to be exact. It's beautiful. My favorite thing is to eat it when it first comes out, but I will refrain because otherwise it kind of falls and sinks. But there you go, ladies. Regular, everyday loaf of bread. So if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell and send me a cute message, or send me a question or anything, and share me with your friends. I would love to hear what you would like to see me do next. Have a fabulous day.